Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Pretty exciting day. I'm going to start off with gold and just say that it's bouncing pretty nicely. I figured it would come down and slap this support down here, but now it's climbing back up into previous lows. And just to check, that's a daily, just to check how much more work we got to do. Looks like about 11:20 is the break into the next previous lows. And then hopefully we can get above the weekly trend line and start climbing for a swing trade. Bounced pretty nicely. Like I mentioned before, the faster the consolidation above the first trend line, the better and the stronger move ahead. So let's just go back to the daily. And okay, so it pops on a daily, consolidates above, hits support, and it's going to come back up and work its way up to here. And then we'll have either more consolidation, it'll back off, or if it's strong enough, it'll just keep going. And like I said, these are the trades I look for, not particularly on the daily, but when I see this on a daily, I know to start watching for the longer term trades. For the week on gold, it's still down, but once on the weekly, once we break this previous high, it'll hit the support, but if it's strong enough, it'll move through. Same here, but what we're looking for this time is similar pattern that it's doing on the daily. So hopefully this will stay above support, consolidate some more, come up to here, make a little U, and a little launching pad to move forward. Silver, for the first 2 days of the week after our inverted hammer finally woke up a little bit, and it could be making for the week a regular hammer. So that would be kind of like a topsy-turvy little situation there. But you can see on the daily how it was almost going to break down, but it livened up, and we got a little pop out of it. What I'm looking for is a close for the week above here, and then looking for a previous high break. Previous high break would be right here, but for the longer, a lot of work that we need to do on the weekly. Hopefully we can get sooner or later up to the 15 point. I think a major support resistance line would be at a 1550 from a previous break right around here. All these support lines turn to resistance. So we'll have to break into those previous lows to get this thing rolling. So we got lots to do, a lot of work to do on gold and silver, but the dailies are shaping up and it looks good. Anyone watching silver would have taken the previous high break and kind of rode it up. I don't know if that would have been a perfect trade to hop in on, because you got a lot of resistance on these lower tiers, plus this line of resistance there, but it broke all of it. So it looks strong, looks good. Just for a literal point would be right around there to a break into higher. And like I said, I always watch the swing trade on the weekly. So I've changed my lines up a little bit. This is the 8, this is the 13, and then we go to 34. So I'm watching the 8 crossing the 13 now on a weekly trade. Just so you know, that's what I did when I used to trade. The 3, 5, and 8 is good for picking bottoms, but now I'm looking for breaking resistance. And that 13, and then a consolidation below the 34, and then the 13 coming up, or the 8 and the 13 coming up, passing the 34, taking a 6 to 8 weeks swing trades. That's what I like to look for. Crude is still in no man's land. It did get up above 31 today, but it just crashed back down. That would be called our bearish retracement. Let's see if we can spot it. Not much of a retracement. So maybe it'll start to bend a little bit. I think 30 is going to be a bouncing point, and you can see the higher low off of the 30 range. Even points on the chart are always emotional spots on the chart, where a lot of traders have their sell orders and buy orders. So it's emotional. 30 is emotional. So I think that this higher low, consolidate a little bit and do a bearish retracement back to the 34 level. So keep a watch on that. It could just fall apart like everything else, including the S&P and the Dow. At the end of the day, And I got some news here. Let me just pause this. U.S. stocks staged dramatic reversal as Dow plunges more than 350 points, and this all happened at the end of the day. Because remember, we talked about let's see here, where were we? I was looking for a bearish retracement, and it was more like a dead cat bounce. Now you can see where the 8 is, and it just kind of tapped that twice. That was the retracement. That was it. So I want to slam. No strength at all. That is very bearish, and you can see that it broke through our monthly support levels. So we got what is it, 2 weeks ago on the end of the month, but this candle is so dramatic, breaking all lines of support. We only got 15.9. I believe it was trading. Oh no, that was the S&P. The Dow has just a little bit more to go for any kind of lines of support, but these are very weak. Man, this thing's gonna fall apart. I imagine 1,000-day drops or 1,000-point drops, and maybe even more. I mean, this is going to be dramatic. I mean, you can't pump up a market artificially for 8 years and expect anything nice to come out of it. What a ride! But I bet you all these people, pension holders, municipal bonds are going to collapse. Here's the S&P. You can see the line of support was broken. That is a dramatic. It was trading up in here, right, yesterday, and it kept going all night. I was watching it, and it was up here. It just tapped that 8, bam, slam, and it was pretty dramatic. It was just like the last few hours of trading that all this happened. So, and then I remember the news this morning saying that China is holding their own, making sure that their market doesn't crash anymore. So I knew that something was up because I don't believe the news at all. It's all propaganda, disinformation is what I has witnessed. But this thing, I figured, a retracement up near the 2000 range. Very weak retracement. That's all the retracement we got, and then it slammed back down. Huge weak spot. And you can see that the 2 last lines of support, not going to last. Just very, very bearish. Once it breaks this monthly support, then I'll be all in on the downside. But anyone following these downturns were very nice moves, but the bigger move is coming, guaranteed. U.S. dollar this whole time, yesterday, the day before, it was building, and it looks like it finally gave up. And remember the corkscrew effect. And then when it came up to here, we got a few days left, a couple days of trading left in the week. But if this doesn't tap the other side of the pattern and then open up down next week, I'm going to consider that a failure. Actually, on a weekly, it does look like it's showing that it tapped it, but not quite. Let's fix this just a little bit. You can see it's miss. But we'll see. I mean, the weekly still does. The weekly does look a little bullish, but the daily is already turned around. So we'll see what happens. If this comes down, I'm going to call this a failure for the week, and that would be bearish for me. So a couple more days, we'll see how that turns out. The other thing is I didn't realize is Shanghai Stock Exchange. We had a Shanghai CSI. I guess this is similar to our S&P. This is the CSI 300. So I thought it'd be fun to look at this since I didn't realize that I can get quotes for Shanghai exchanges. You can see the break here on the daily. It made a gap, right? But it filled that gap and it's continuing lower, so that's bearish. Filled this gap, filled that gap. It looks a little sparsely traded. I'm not sure what the volume is, but it just doesn't look nice at all. Let's go to a longer term and I'll show you. Yeah, you can see the gaps that it filled already, and now it's continuing lower. Does not look good. I imagine this is going to fall apart as well in the next coming weeks. And just for a long-term view, play around with this little. Okay, so what do we got? We got a lower high, Either way you want to put it. And then go to the next high. It made a low, did a retracement to the previous, and now we're below. The monthly is still there on support. So look for a 3,000 point bounce on the CSI 300. Right, look for a bounce here, maybe a consolidation, come up, bearish retracement, or a retracement back to resistance, and then maybe a fall apart. But right now the monthly looks like it's got support around 3,000, and maybe that's where the news came out. The Shanghai exchange is holding up after like 4 days in a row of downfalls. One more, the Shanghai Composite, same thing. That's a monthly. They basically look the same, similar to our S&P and Dow. Kind of, okay, we got a lower high, and then it's breaking all lines of support. I don't know why these lines don't stay together, but not necessary. We've got just a little bit of support line here at 27, so a couple more 100 points on this composite. See if it'll hold, but it just looks like a pump and dump. Look at that. I mean, how can you not say that's a pump and dump? It's just ridiculous. Very, I mean, this chart is just obliterated. I mean, pump it up so hard and then dump it. That's all I got today. Look for no man's land on S&P and the Dow. The dollar, let's see if this thing will hyperinflate or fall apart. My guess is we got a RBS telling everyone to sell everything on a company memo. We got Jim Willie saying that a trigger point is crude oil below 30 or trading in the 30s. So all this is happening. No real news in the Western media about how bad this really looks. I'm guessing this is going to hyperinflate. Even China recommended that their banks, or I don't know if it was requirement or just a literal stop accepting dollars in China banks. And then the dry index, I guess no cargo ships are going across the Atlantic right now, filled with anything. If there is a cargo ship, it's not filled with anything. It's leaving port empty, coming back full, all this and that. We are on the verge. And then we got Obama doing the State of the Union. I bet he's not going to mention any of this. It's all going to be about his gay rights, Muslims, and all this other crap. They don't mean a damn thing, because this thing is falling apart at the seams. The S&P, that retracement back up to resistance never happened. It just fell apart like a dead cat bounce. I don't know. What do you guys think about this dollar? I mean, is it going to hyperinflate and go to the moon, become worthless as it hyperinflates, or is it just going to fall apart and, you know, gather some legs, consolidate, you know, do the right thing? But all the dollars are flowing into America, selling across the world. The Fed has to pick that up, and I think they're accumulating it off the books right now. Just horrible what's going on. Let me know what you guys think. Just a terrible day for the Dow and the S&P. Silver and gold, here we come. I can see it consolidating, right? Consolidation above the trend lines. Weekly is the key, though. See if we can get this thing consolidated above the trend line. Not like these when it pops above and then collapses, pops above and collapses, pops above and collapses. See if we can get a churn out of this thing. Now you can see another thing is the left shoulder, the head, and this would be the neckline. See if we can get this right shoulder above here, consolidate, and have a true reverse head and shoulders on a weekly chart. That would be awesome. Thanks for watching. Share, like, and comment. Let me know what's going on out there. Thank you.